They thought Islam was dead. They thought the Ummah was broken, scattered, divided forever. They watched with pride as the lands of the Muslims were invaded, their children orphaned, their homes destroyed. They celebrated when minarets were silenced, when hijabs were banned, when Qur'ans were burned. But what they didn't understand was that the light of Islam is not like the light of this world. It cannot be extinguished by bombs, by bans, by borders. It is not held by the hands of kings or presidents. It lives in the heart of every true believer. And now that heart is beating again. Stronger, louder, with purpose. The world tried to bury us, but they didn't realize we are seeds. Islam will rise again. The signs are already here. The youth of the Ummah are waking up. The children who once watched their fathers cry in silence are now standing as men with Qur'ans in their hearts and fire in their eyes. The daughters who were told they couldn't speak are now reciting verses louder than the mosques that once feared silence. There's a shift in the world, and even those who deny it can feel it. The earth is trembling under the weight of oppression, and Allah's justice is moving like the unseen wind. Quiet, but unstoppable. We are not witnessing the decline of Islam. We are witnessing the decline of the systems that tried to replace it. The ideologies that promised peace and delivered war. The economies that offered luxury but fed on slavery. The leaders who swore justice but drank from the blood of the innocent. The people of the world are waking up to a lie, and when truth knocks on the door, falsehood flees. That truth is Islam. All over the West, the same Qur'an that was mocked is now being read in coffee shops and studied in universities. The same hijab that was once a target of hatred is now being worn with honor by those who once feared it. Islam is not just surviving in hostile lands. It's growing. Conversions are increasing not because of Dawah campaigns or ads, but because of the raw truth that Islam carries. A truth that doesn't need to scream. A truth that just is. And why shouldn't it rise? Didn't the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, say that Islam began as something strange and will return to being strange? So give glad tidings to the strangers. This is our time. We are the strangers he spoke of. The ones who hold on to Islam not with comfort, but with courage. The ones who worship not when it's easy, but when it's hardest. The ones who pray in airports, in basements, behind closed doors, and even in the open, unafraid. The Ummah of today is not weak. It is wounded, and wounds heal. And when they do, they become stronger than the skin that once covered them. Every tragedy the Ummah faced has not weakened it. It has purified it, like gold that must go through fire to shine, like a sword that must be beaten to be sharp. The enemies of Islam tried to crush us, but all they did was remove our fear. And now there is nothing more dangerous to tyranny than a people who fear nothing but Allah. Look at Gaza. Look at Kashmir. Look at Xinjiang. They tried to silence those voices. But what happened? The world heard them louder. The more they oppress, the more they expose their own cruelty. The more they persecute, the more hearts turn to Islam. The Muslim suffers, but never in vain. Allah sees every tear, hears every cry, records every moment. And He promises in the Qur'an, indeed, with hardship comes ease. Not after, but with hardship. The ease is already unfolding. The youth are memorizing Qur'an faster than ever before. Social media platforms once used to spread filth are now echoing with recitations, khutbahs, reminders, tears. Muslims are learning about their deen not just from scholars in their towns, but from every corner of the earth. Knowledge is spreading, truth is rising, and with truth comes power. But this power is not in wealth, not in armies, not in politics. It is in the purity of submission, in the strength of salah, in the patience of fasting, in the love for the Qur'an, in the tears shed in tahajjud. That's the power no one can take away. That's the power that built an empire from the deserts of Arabia. That's the power that carried Islam from Makkah to China to Spain. That power still exists. It never left. It was waiting for us, The time is near, but time is not given, it is taken. We must rise, not tomorrow, now. This is the generation that will bring honor back to the Ummah, not because we are better, but because we are desperate. Desperate for truth, desperate for justice, desperate for Allah, and desperation, when tied to sincerity, becomes the birthplace of revolutions. We need a revolution of the soul, a return to Salah, a return to the Qur'an, a return to the Sunnah, not just in words, but in action. When we start praying Fajr like we attend meetings, when we recite Qur'an like we scroll through our phones, when we give sadaqah like we buy coffee, when we love the Prophet more than celebrities, then we'll see the rise of Islam, not just globally, but personally, because Islam doesn't rise in the world until it rises in your heart. You want to see change. Start with your Salah. Start with your tongue. Start with your eyes. Purify what you look at. Cleanse what you speak. Discipline what you desire. A heart tied to dunya can't lead an Ummah, but a heart tied to Allah can change the world, and change is coming. You can feel it. A storm is brewing, not of violence, but of awareness. The lies are collapsing. The propaganda is dying. People are looking for meaning, and Islam is the only answer that doesn't change with trends, doesn't bow to fashion, doesn't compromise for comfort. It is the rope of Allah, and those who hold on to it will never fall. So hold on tight. Don't let go, no matter how hard it gets. Your prayer matters. Your fast matters. Your voice matters. Every time you say, La ilaha illallah, with sincerity, the throne of Allah acknowledges your faith, and every step you take toward Him, He comes running to you. That's not weakness. That's power. That's legacy. Islam will rise again, not because of oil, not because of politics, not because of power, but because Allah promised it. And Allah never breaks His promise. The Prophet said that this deen will reach every home, whether through peace or through trial. And we are witnessing that promise unfold. Be among those who helped build, not just watched. Be among those who stood firm, not those who doubted. Be among the strangers. Be among the lovers of Allah, because the time is near, and when it comes the world will remember not our names, but our faith. And on that day, when the banner of Islam flies high again, when the oppressed find justice, when the Ummah becomes one body again, you'll want to say, I was there, I believed, I stood, I prayed, I gave, I lived for Allah, I died upon the truth. So rise, O Muslim. Your time is not coming. It is here. They will ask you, where were you when the Ummah was crying? Where were you when the children of Gaza screamed into a world that looked away? Where were you when the Qur'an was being insulted, when your sisters were being mocked, when your brothers were being beaten for saying Allahu Akbar? And you must have an answer, not in words, but in proof. Your sajah, your sacrifice, your saber, your service, your stand. Because the rise of Islam isn't a cinematic moment, it's a quiet revolution. It's built in the silence of sujood at night, in the smile to a stranger, in the forgiveness you give when your nafs demands revenge. It is not flashy, but it is fierce, and when enough hearts turn back to Allah, that revolution becomes unstoppable. Not with weapons, but with worship. Do you think the enemies of Islam fear our numbers? No, they fear our unity. They fear our certainty. They fear the day the Ummah wakes up and realizes its strength was never in flags or politics, but in faith. The world may have divided us into nations, into race, into class, but Islam unites us in one word, Muslim, and that identity is the one thing that has survived every empire, every invasion, every storm. The Ottoman Empire fell. The Abbasid Caliphate burned. The colonizers came. They took our lands. They drew their borders. They stole our wealth. But they couldn't take the Shahada out of our hearts. They couldn't erase the Adhan from our memory. They couldn't stop a single tear shed in Dawah. And now, centuries later, we're still here, because Allah preserved His deen, and He always will. The rise of Islam will not look like what the world expects. It won't start in parliaments. It will start in homes, in mothers who raise warriors of faith, in fathers who lead their families with Qur'an, in youth who lower their gaze in a world obsessed with desire, in men who go to Fajr when others are still asleep, in women who wear hijab even when it costs them their careers. That is the revolution. That is the rise. And it has already begun. You are part of something eternal. Every air you recite is echoing from the same lips that once trembled in the cave of Hira. Every sunnah you follow is like walking in the footsteps of the greatest man to ever live. Every hardship you bear is recorded by angels who never sleep. You are not small. You are chosen. You were placed in this Ummah by Allah Himself. You are not here by accident. You are here by divine design, and with that comes responsibility. We cannot wait for the world to change. We must be the change. You are the Dawah. You are the example. You are the mercy this world desperately needs. When they look at you, they should see a reflection of the Prophet. Not in your appearance, but in your mercy, your integrity, your strength, your humility. That is how Islam will rise, not through anger, but through excellence. But do not be naive. There will be resistance. There will be mockery. There will be moments where you feel alone. That is the path of truth. The Prophet walked it. The Sahaba bled for it. The martyrs died for it. And now you walk it. But remember, when you walk toward Allah, He walks toward you 10 times faster. You are never alone. They tried to break us, but they didn't know a Muslim bends only in prayer. They tried to scare us, but they didn't know we fear only Allah. They tried to silence us, but they didn't know our Qur'an speaks louder than any weapon. They tried to bury us, but we are seeds, and we are rising. Look around you. Look at the signs. Look at how, in the darkest places, the light of Islam is glowing. In prisons, men are turning to Islam after lives of sin. In universities, students are leaving atheism for the Qur'an. In war zones, mothers are reciting Eid as bombs fall. In refugee camps, the adhan still echoes. That is not weakness. That is the strength of truth. And what is truth? That there is no God but Allah. That Muhammad is His messenger. That this life is a test. That paradise is real. That justice will come. That every tear, every pain, every sacrifice will be rewarded. That the rise of Islam is not a dream. It is a promise. And Allah does not break His promise. So rise, not in rage, but in remembrance. Not in hate, but in hope. Not to destroy, but to build. The Ummah doesn't need more noise. It needs more sincerity. It needs more hearts that bleed for the suffering. More hands that give without being asked. More minds that think deeply. More souls that bow only to Allah. Your phone can be a weapon. Your voice can be a shield. Your platform can be a mind bar. Your actions can be Dawah. Every single thing you do can either bring Islam up or hold it down. Choose wisely. Because time is not promised, and we are closer to the hour than we've ever been. When that hour comes, where will you be? When the trumpet is blown, when the graves open, when the scrolls are laid bare, will you be among those who slept while the Ummah bled? Or will you be among those who gave, who cried, who believed, who stood firm? The rise is not just about the world. It's about your Akira. Build your Jannah here. Plant your seeds in every prayer. Water them with every deek. Guard them with taqwa. And trust that even if you don't see the result in this life, your reward is waiting beyond this world. The Prophet said, "Give glad tidings to the strangers," and you are that stranger. So hold on to your faith, to your hope, to your Qur'an, because Islam will rise again, and it will rise through you. Ending line and so words, Kaya Nahi Chihi.